Mike McGarry. This is going to be his regular spot. We call this a South Jersey Sports Report segment now, as soon as we turn the calendar to high school football. Mike, how you doing on this Saturday morning?
Pretty good, Pete. Pretty good. Good morning here.
All right, what's the name of Rutgers Stadium? Ready, go.
I think it's Shy Stadium, but I'm not 100% sure. I will, however, find out by 2 o'clock today for you.
See, I knew you'd probably be going up there. Yes, Shy, I think you are right, because our colleague Nick Costco last night, who, by the way, is also a Rutgers grad, did the pregame show from up there, and then, of course, we have Rutgers football on our air, so he was all souped up throwing in the Shy references back and forth. And is that like C-H-I or Shy like I'm afraid to talk to you?
Again, I think it's F-H-I, but again, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll have it right by about 4 o'clock today when I start writing that St. Joe Highland Regional game story. And a couple of traditional Cape Atlantic League teams up there today, and a couple of Cape Atlantic League alumni, Isaiah Pacheco of Violin and Bo Melton of Cedar Creek, having big nights for the Scarlet Knights last night. So maybe we continue that success up there at Rutgers today.
Absolutely. Pacheco especially. What are you, 4 touchdowns? I was trying to count it up on the ESPN graphic there, and I'm like, wait, 1, 2, oh, there's another one, 3. He was all over the place. Yeah,
Pacheco ran for 4 touchdowns. I think he's going to have I did a story on him this week for the press. I think he's going to have a huge year out of Violin. He's an interesting kid, in fact, that, he's a kid that's actually been part of a big turnaround as far as the football program. He helped turn around Violin. That's another program that people thought was, never going to win, and he helped turn that around. So now he's trying to do the same at Rutgers. And Bo Melton, I believe, scored the first touchdown of his college career last night. So a big day for the Melton family, because not only did they have Bo at night, but, to segue into the high school, they had Malachi Melton, a senior at Cedar Creek, having a big day, leading Cedar Creek to a win over Willingboro Friday afternoon.
Eddie Lee's picture, the color picture on the cover of the sports page this morning, is outstanding. I just felt like that maybe you could have tucked away the journalistic integrity and not had to say that he didn't make the catch. I mean, if you just said like he goes up for the football, you're still what a great picture. It's just a little disappointing to find out that at the end of that sequence, he didn't catch it.
Well, you got to be honest with the readers, Pete. That's rule number 1.
Yeah, that's true. I went to journalism school as well. Well, let's be honest about Holy Spirit then, because that's the game you were at last night. And what a start for them, by the way, which leads me to also get the backstory then. And you do you do a great job of explaining the backstory of the new face, Patrick Smith, and how he made an impact right away.
Yeah, Pat Smith, nicknamed Cheeks because of the size of his cheeks. His grandmother gave him a nickname, had big cheeks as a youngster, so his grandmother gave him the nickname Cheeks, and it stuck with him ever since. He transfers to Holy Spirit from the Petty School. He touches the football for the first time all season, returns the opening kickoff 97 yards for a touchdown. Pat is a dynamic player. He's really going to add a lot to that Holy Spirit team. He grew up in Egg Harbor Township, played at St. Augustine as a freshman, transferred to the Petty School up in Mercer County for his sophomore year, got a little homesick up there, or things didn't quite work out the way he thought they were. Now he's back at Holy Spirit. And although he returns the kickoff for a touchdown, and from that point on, it was all Mount St. Joseph. They won the game 56-27. However, still expect Holy Spirit to be one of the top teams in South Jersey and contend for that state non-public 2 title. Mount St. Joseph just on another level, one of the top teams in Maryland out of Baltimore.
Yeah, one of your observations, too, the Gales scored on their first 5 possessions, and the only reason they didn't on their 6th,
they ran out of time. They had the ball on the Holy Spirit 2-yard line when the clock ran out in the first half. Just a dynamic offensive team. The quarterback, junior William Atkinson, really adapted, buying time to throw and then throwing accurately downfield. The running back, Marlo Wax, ran for 4 touchdowns. They had Division I wide receivers all over the field. The Holy Spirit, as I said in the story, they can take solace in a couple things. First of all, they can take solace in the play of Pat Smith. Smith is a dynamic running back, as he showed, dynamic running back wide receivers. He showed on that kickoff return. I think he had over 200 yards of total offense in the game. When you add Pat Smith to an offense that already has running back Elijah Gray, tight end Isa Jarena, wide receiver Ahmad Brown, and quarterback Trevor Cohen, a sophomore, ran for a touchdown, threw for 190-something yards in his first varsity start, so he looked solid. When you add Smith into that mix, you're going to really get one of the most dynamic offenses in South Jersey. Holy Spirit also could take solace in the fact that they're probably not going to see a team with as much talent as Mount St. Joseph, no matter who they play the rest of the season.
Yeah, so Spirit with a bye week next week, and then they host Eastern Regional. What was A.J. Russo's comments after the game, and do you think he feels like, all right, well, we got our punch, but now we get time to regroup and get better?
Yeah, absolutely. AJ was upbeat after the game, and he kind of said what I said there, that game is not going to define their season. It was meant to test them and really, use as a gauge of where they are now, see what they have to work on, and also expose their players who hope to play on the next level that says, hey, this is what a team with 6 or 7 Division I guys looks like. And if you want to get to that level, here's maybe what you have to do. So they're kind of going to use it as a learning experience, a growing experience. They get a bye week. It seems strange to say that in week 2 you get an opportune bye week, but it really is an opportune bye week because they get to sort of regroup, regather themselves. Smith only transferred about 2.5 weeks ago, so they get another week to sort of integrate him into the offense, come up with an idea of how to blend him in there with Elijah Gray and Jarena and Ahmad Brown. So Holy Spirit will regroup, and they'll come back, 2 weeks from last night against Eastern. And, no doubt that although, they took a lopsided defeat last night, we expect Spirit to do big things this season regardless.
Mike McGarry with us, Press of Atlantic City. Follow him on Twitter at AC Press McGarry, especially if you want those score updates. Well, a little bit down Route 9, your colleague Dave Weinberg got to see Pleasantville and Salem, and looks like the Greyhounds accomplished one of their goals, start off 1-0.
Yeah, I like Pleasantville this season. I think they're a team that can contend in Group 2 despite graduating 17 seniors, and they had a senior performed big for them last night, and that's a guy we got to watch this season. His name is Ernest Howard. I was talking with Pleasantville coach Chris Sacco in the preseason. He said Ernest had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, feels he should have, maybe a couple of more scholarship offers. He plays linebacker and running back. Well, last night in the fourth quarter, Pleasantville's freshman quarterback Marlon Leslie, who had a great game, gets his helmet knocked off, so he's got to leave the game. They put Ernest Howard in at running back in the Wildcat formation, and he goes right down the field and scores the clinching touchdown. In reading Dave's story, I think Pleasantville had meant to only do it for a play or two, but Howard started busting off some big plays. They figured, what the hell? We'll keep him in there. Keep him in there. He scores a touchdown. I think he also recovered a fumble and made a big defensive play in the fourth quarter. So Ernest Howard, a guy we got to watch, and a guy who had a big game last night as Pleasantville starts off 1-0 with a win over Salem, who, reached the South Jersey Group 1 final last year and is a traditional power. So a nice win for the Greyhounds. Definitely.
And Howard, that in his story, it says that he had a key interception, but that play you're describing, by the way, sadly, as you know, a lot of the local television is now gone by the wayside. So I happened to catch Jeff Skaversky, TV 40 alum, doing his Action News huddle or whatever, and the one play they showed from Pleasantville and Salem was Howard running left to right on the TV screen, going for that key, so he made the Action News, he made the highlights. It's all about timing, Mike.
Exactly. It's all about when the cameraman arrives at the game to make your big play, isn't it?
Right. And, of course, I know better than anybody, if you're the cameraman, make sure you back up. Okay, let's get to St. Augustine, right? So they go out and play, State College, the Little Lions. This is the second year in a row they've seen this school. The good news is the score was a little closer. The bad news is they still lose the game.
Yeah, State College, again, one of the top teams in Pennsylvania. St. Augustine makes the joint up to Penn State. They're not called the Little Lions for anything. They're in State College, the same town as Penn State. St. Augustine loses 20-17. Isaiah Rake gets a touchdown in that game. The big lineman and running back who's headed to Texas A&M. It just seems from looking at the box score and hearing reports about the game that St. Augustine had a little trouble generating some offense on there. So Obviously a good early season test for them. I think they were leading in the fourth quarter. State College maybe scored late to take that lead. So again, you look at these games, much like the Holy Spirit game. I'm sure there's a lot for St. Augustine to take out of that game. They're testing themselves against high-level competition. They're getting ready for that, in-state play. So nothing really to lose there, and I'm sure St. Augustine will come out of that game with a lot of momentum. But obviously, just looking at the box score, the issue was generating a lot of offense against a tough State College team that, again, like Mount St. Joseph of Maryland, has 4 or 5 Division I players on the field.
Hermit's back in action September 13th at Lenape. And then we talked a little bit briefly. We touched on the Pirates a little bit, but we didn't give them their full due. Cedar Creek starts things off right.
Yeah, they started they had the early kickoff there, 3 o'clock. They're the first, press area team to get out there. Louis Barrios, the senior quarterback, scores the first touchdown of the season with a 2-yard run. They get a big game out of Malachi Melton, a key punt return late in the game, couple of tackles for losses. He, of course, is the defensive back, wide receiver, and running back who is committed to attend Purdue. And really a start for Cedar Creek. They had kind of finished 4-5 last season. After a couple of successful seasons, they won the South Jersey Group 2 championship in 2015, and they really made it a preseason theme and haven't been shy about saying that their goal is kind of to get back to where they were, to kind of recapture the sort of edge and enthusiasm that they felt they played with when they went to South Jersey Group 2 finals, and that they didn't play with last season. And, again, I think I said it last week, one of my favorite sayings around high school football is it gets late early. And I know it's August 30th, and I know it was the first game of the season, but 24-20 win over Willingboro, the defending Central Jersey Group 1 champion, that's a win that gets Cedar Creek season started in the right direction. And that's a win at the end of the season we might look back on and say, hey, is Cedar Creek in the playoffs? And if so, why? It might be because they beat Willingboro 24-20 on a 90-degree day in August.
Yeah, no doubt. 3 o'clock start. Can we move all the games to 3 o'clock?
Pete, they play them at 10 a.m. if it was up to me.
All right, so you're making the trip up north. You've got St. Joe and Highland Regional at 2, and you're not staying around for that Millville 8 o'clock kickoff? Are you leaving a consigliere to get us updates or something?
No, I will be there for the duration. So I will be there, for the 8 o'clock game. I will be doing the double dip up at Rutgers, and it should be a great day. You got two of South Jersey, two of really the state's top running backs in Jada Byers of St. Joe and Johnny Martin of Highland Regional facing each other at 2 p.m.
Sweet. At AC Press McGarry is Mike's Twitter handle, at AC Press MCGARRY. That is a must follow to get the updates, plus a little of Mike's humor mixed in there too, I'm sure.